Welcome back, Swagteam. It's your boy, Swagologist, back again with another SwagU TV review, and today we are doing The Mandalorian, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Now, in this episode, we see Mando coming into a space station because he's trying to find a place for him and the child to reside and lay low, at least for the time being, while everybody's trying to attack the child and take him away from Mando. And, of course, the guild is out for Mando. So he goes to a place where he meets this former ally that he used to run jobs with named Ranzar. And Rand, used to run jobs with my man Mando, but the only reason he brought him in there that Mando doesn't realize is that he needs the Razor Crest to do a job. But Mando already peeped that he probably needed him to do a job, so he asked him what the job is, and he was like, you're gonna need that ship. And he was like, the ship's out of the cards because, you know, Mando knows that he still has the child on board, but Rand wasn't hearing it, and he ended up getting screwed into having to use it anyway. Otherwise, they weren't going to be able to stay there. So then we get to meet the mercenaries that Mando is going to do the job with. And these guys consist of Mayfield, an ex-Imperial sharpshooter. And Mando's like, that's not saying much. And then Mayfield's like, I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass, which is funny because I was thinking the same thing that Mando was thinking. I was like, okay, he's a sharpshooter for Imperials. Well, he must have been trash because stormtroopers are garbage at shooting. But obviously, he wasn't just one of those. And we get to see his cool little thing we've seen from the trailer, the extra shoulder gun later on in the episode. But then we also got my man Berg, and Berg is the muscle of the group, you know what I'm saying? The muscle. We also have the wisecracking, well, not necessarily a wisecracking, but he's just a super smart, better than you type droid named Zero. At least that's what they call him. I think he's Q90, but they call him Zero. And then, last but not least, we got the flirtatious Twi'lek named Zeon, who obviously had some kind of love for Mando and still kind of does, and didn't like the fact that he left, but something happened, and by the end of the episode, you kind of get a gist of what happened, but you don't know all the full details. But that's who we end up meeting, and that's the crew. And Mando ended up finding out later on what the job fully entails, which they have to go on to this New Republic prison ship to break free a prisoner for Rand and the crew. So he kind of pushes back on that a little bit because he don't want that type of heat, but they're like, you're going, so it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So they end up heading there, and of course, since Mayfield and Berg have never met Mando before, they're kind of skeptical about his abilities, and being that he's supposedly one of the greatest warriors of all time, because that's what Mandalorians are, and that's their reputation. They kind of are skeptical of his skill set, especially on the fact that they were like, how could you be such a great warrior if all of y'all are dead or whatever, you know what I'm saying, which was a disrespectful line, of course. So then Mando has to deal with them coming at him, and they even asked the Twi'lek, who's been like, you know, flirting with Mando and knows Mando a little bit, what did she think of him, and how she was like, she named something that happened in his past, which gives us another look at how he used to be, which was does what he has to do, because that's when he ended up saying how he used to be, and where he is now, where he's caring for the child and trying to be a better man and a man of honor, when back then it didn't seem like too much of that was going on. But they still test him. They try to take his helmet off. He ends up fighting it away, but right at the last moment, before he could totally stop everything that's going on, it knocks him into where baby Yoda, aka the child, is hiding in his little cupboard. They knock him into that, and everybody finds out that the baby is right there for the taking, and they're like trying to figure out what is that, because they've never seen it, of course. And Mando was trying to keep the child away and safe, but they just found out that he's there, so now they're questioning about it. And if you had any like for these characters, this is the time where you realize you don't like none of them. You hope they get what's theirs in the future, but they decide to mess with the baby, act like they're dropping it and all this other crap. Then all of a sudden, the droid that thinks he's better than everybody drops him out of hyperspace, starts doing these crazy maneuvers that they have to do to keep from being detected, that only that droid can do. And it knocks everybody around, and he ends up dropping the child. He drops the child on the floor, which was a no-no, of course. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, really? Really, guy? You know what I'm saying? So he drops the baby, but this gives time for Mando to take child and put him back in his little cupboard and put him back away, you know what I'm saying, before they start the job. So now here it comes. They get on the ship to free the prisoner, right? But when they drop down, there's a little mouse droid, and Berg, being not so smart up here, a lot of muscle, but not that smart, decides to shoot the mouse droid, which brought the droids that are actually guarding this ship over to protect the ship. So they start shooting at Mando and the crew, and everybody's like trying to take cover and hide so they don't get shot. And they're at, then all of a sudden Mayfield's like, Mando, what are you? And Mando's nowhere to be seen. And they're like, what the hell? What's going on? But it's because Mando is not one of them. You know what I'm saying? He's not one of them. He goes behind the robots, and this is where it gets really, really good. You know what I'm saying? He gets to show some of that Mando badassery that we all love to see. So he comes up and he shows his hatred for the droids and starts taking them out all by himself. Even though it looked like the Twi'lek was trying to get up in there, Mayfield was holding her back. It was like, nah, let's see this, because they'd never seen a Mando fight before. And it was interesting in Mando's tactic to get shot a lot, because he got shot a lot, but he knew the Beskar could take it. But I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily his thought process, but I think it is, because like kind of like how Deadpool will let somebody stab him or whatever because he knows he's gonna re-heal or whatever, which is like not really a genius idea, but it works, because I think it's still painful to him. Matter of fact, I know it is, but you know, it's risky. It's a risky take, but hey, it works for Mando, because Mando ended up destroying those robots in a really cool way, and I enjoyed watching that fight, and it really impressed the crew, at least for a little while, before they all decided to make fun of him basically and bump him and keep going into the ship. Then they come across the fact that there is actually a human on the ship now. When they was given the briefing of this mission, they said it was only going to run by robots. But this gives time for us to see Mando and his humanization into the show, and you know how he's becoming more human, more of a man of honor. And we see that change that he's having from when we first meet him to what he's going to end up becoming throughout this, you know, series and seasons. And all the crew end up having a standoff because they're trying to decide what to do with this soldier who has a tracking beacon, because he brings out a tracking beacon, and this is a big problem. If he presses this button on his tracking beacon, game's all over. The Republic's gonna come up and shoot them all to hell, and they're all dead because they can't have someone trying to take over the ship and do bad things with these prisoners, so they'll take care of all of them. So now it's a big mess, and they're trying to figure out what to do. So Mando, being a man of honor that he is becoming, and a hero that we all see, is trying to calm the situation down, trying to calm the man down. And the Twi'leks has had enough, because now him and Mayfield are going back at it, back and forth, talking about, get this gun out my face, you put it down, you don't shoot. Now Berg's trying to get involved, so now the Twi'leks just like, screw that, throws a knife and kills the guy with the tracking beacon. But now he accidentally presses the button, and now all they have is 20 minutes to get off the ship, or they're all dead. And this leads on to, I think, some of the coolest stuff that happens in the series. Well, in this episode specifically. So now they only have 20 minutes to go, and they got to hurry up and find the prisoner that still hasn't been revealed yet. They find the cell that the prisoner is in. And when it opens, you see another Twi'lek in there. It's a male Twi'lek, and you see that Mando knows who he is as soon as he sees him. He's like, Quinn. And you come to find out that this is Xian's brother. And you're like, what? And then all of a sudden they turn their back on Mando, which is not surprising at all. They knock him into the cell, and now they're trying to escape before the time runs out. But on the ship, Zero is finding out more information about what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on with Mando, because there was a message that he pulled up when he was trying to get the audio and everything correct on the ship. Bounty Hunters Guild leader, you know what I'm saying, is trying to tell Mando something about taking the asset to the buyer or whatever, you know what I mean? And he's like, interesting. Then the child shows up behind him, and he's like trying to attack him. It looks like he's going to shoot him or whatever. So when that's happening, Mayfield calls Zero to try and get off the ship while they got Mando in the prison cell for Quinn. They're trying to escape, but then all of a sudden, Mando, being the genius he is, uses the droid and breaks the droid's arm off. Boom, gets out of the cell, escapes, and now he becomes Batman. And this is my favorite part of this episode, is where basically Mando becomes Batman and starts doing Batman stuff all across this ship to get each one of these guys. And first thing he does is separates them with using the one of the door shafts, which is pretty lit. So now I'm like, oh yeah, now they about to get theirs, baby. Mando's about to go to work. You know what I'm saying? So now Quinn and Mayfield are together, and Berg and Zeon are together as well, and they're all separated. So then Mando cuts off. First thing he does is cut off the communication. Well, actually, after he separates them, the first thing he does is cut off the communication from the ship. So now Zero can give him no information. So once he cuts them off, Quinn shows how much of an asshole he is, and he's like, Mayfield, you're gonna get me off of this ship. And Mayfield's like, what about your sister? And he's like, what about her? You know what I'm saying? So Quinn is definitely all about himself. He even tells Mayfield, whatever Renzar is paying you, I'll pay you triple. You know what I'm saying? Just get me off this ship. And he's like, I hope you're good for it. He's like, obviously not good for it. You know what I'm talking about? But doesn't matter. We know what my man Mando about to do. You know what I'm saying? So Mando finds Berg by itself because, like I said, they lost communication. They was trying to get Zero to give them a path, and they couldn't find one, so they end up separating a little bit to try and find a way out. Him and Zeon. Zeon goes somewhere, and Berg is in his room, and then all of a sudden Batman Mando uses his little grappling hook thing and puts it around Berg's neck, is trying to choke him. But Berg is the muscle, so he pulls Mando straight through the roof down to the ground, and then they're having a little tussle, a little fight, but Mando's getting manhandled by Dude. But every time Mando comes up with something to do, Dude stops it. He goes for the pistol, he knocks it out of his hand. He goes with the little wrist missiles, knocks that shit, knocks his hand to where it misses all of it, punches him down. He goes for the double pistols to the head, knocks them both out. He goes to the fire flame to the face, man. Flamethrower to the face, and he just takes that shit. Like, come on, man. What is my man supposed to do? Mando is like about to take this L, looks like, right? So my man's about to choke him, and then he flips him over with the reverse. Boom, knocks it down. Then he uses the damn door like he did in episode 1, but it wasn't the iris door. But the iris door might have got some chop, but he used the door to slam on his head, which I thought he was dead, like, you know, the Rancor. But nope, dude was too strong, so he pushed it back up. But then Mando got real smart on him and used that other door, because there was 2 doors, and it slapped. And bruh, I swear Berg's dead, you know what I'm saying? Because we go to the next scene, and I'm like, and I love what they do with this. We don't know whether these people are dead because they just flip shot, you know what I'm saying? We didn't hear that doo-doo this time, but we definitely see Dude get clamped by this door. So then they move on, and the next victim is my man's Mando is going to get Zeon, and Zeon thinks she like that. So, but she is pretty nice, you know what I'm saying? This is good to show her skill set. But even right before that, because the Mando is in his Batman, you know, his inner Batman, they're playing a little game of cat and mouse right now. And so Mayfield is walking trepidatious, is walking on eggshells, as well as Zeon. And Zeon tries to get in contact with Zero again, but of course Mando has already cut off communications with the ship. But Zero's a little preoccupied right now because the child is playing a little game of hide and go seek with him, because he's trying to find it. Looks like to kill it because he has his gun out. And every once in a while we see the child like look around something, go away, go find another place to hide. And we don't know what's going to happen with that. But then they go back to the ship, and we finally get to see Mayfield use that over-the-shoulder gun in action, which is pretty tight. When these droids came around, these guard droids came around one of the corridors he was in, and he starts shooting them in the back of the head. That was pretty dope to get to see that in action. But like I said, we get to see Zeon skill set against Mando, because Mando ends up coming down the same hallway she's coming down, but she is turned the opposite way. So he thinks he has a drop on her, but I think she has a little sense of smell a little bit, and she can, you know, kind of feel when someone's around. So she throws the knife and knocks his pistol out of his hand. But he comes up, she's throwing mad, you know, blades at him, kind of like ninja stars, just throwing them things out. Right? He's blocking them with the Beskar, but then he get caught one time, but one like near the shoulder area. She thinks she had the drop on him, but then he hits her with the reverse, and then they flip screen. I'm like, oh, got her ass too. Another one. You know what I'm saying? So now Mayfield is by himself. He's freaking out, asking Mando where he's at. And then Mando takes the lights out. And then you see Mando in the back behind him. Pops up slow. He comes up real close behind him. Mayfield turns. He ain't there, but he's right behind him. Got him. Got him. Another one. Come on, man. Mando out here being Batman, taking care of business, boy. Loving it. So then we flip screen again. And last but not least, it's Quinn. And Quinn thinks he's about to get away because he gets right at the little ladder to get up off of there. And Mando's like, Quinn. And he's like, damn, you killed the others. He's like, they got what they deserved. Mando, boy, Batman. I'm telling you, Mando is basically Batman in this episode. For sure. But anyways, so then Quinn's like trying to figure out how to get out of this situation because he seems like a slick talker, try to only think about himself, don't care about nobody. Obviously, he didn't even care about his sister to save her. So he's trying to appeal to Mando's newfound ways and trying to appeal to his better nature, talking about, you're a man of honor, aren't you? Why don't you take me in? You know what I'm saying? You still need the money. If you kill me, you can't get the money or whatever. And he's afraid to get killed because Mando's got him dead to rights. Just pop, pop, and it's over with. You know what I mean? So he's like, come on, man, please take me on the ship. Don't do this or whatever. So he ends up doing that, and it's like, Mando's, you know, when he just accepts to take him back to the thing, you know Mando's got a little something up his sleeve. You don't know what it is yet, but you got a good feeling. So after he decides to take Quinn back onto the ship and accept his offer, we see that Zero has found the child, and he's pulling up the gun, but then the child's like this. I'm like, uh-oh, the child about to get his man the force push of his life, boy, and he about to do it, then all of a sudden we go, and there's a big hole in my man's chest, the Zero's chest, and child looks at his hand like, did I do that, nigga? Like, what? Which was hilarious, but then you come to find out, of course, that Mando had shot Zero in the back. But it was funny that the child still learning his powers. He knows he has the power of the Force, but he doesn't really know exactly what all it can do and stuff. His power set necessarily doesn't know everything because there's no one there to teach them, no Jedi, no Yoda species, none of that, to teach him the way, you know what I'm saying? He can only learn from what he sees from his father right now, who is the Mandalorian. So then we come back to the space station, right? He opens the door. He has the prisoner with his arms wrapped, Quinn with his in lock and key, and he hands him over to Ranzar, and Ranzar's like, where's the rest of the crew? He's like, no questions asked, right? That's the job. He's like, no questions asked. So then he basically gave a little jab, and he felt that because he was kind of like, yeah, no questions asked. That's all right. Bye, Mando. Yeah. They're all acting like everything's cool, and as soon as Mando gets far enough, he's like, goes little thing, bloop, kill him. So now Quinn's laughing because he's thinking he's got him. My man Ranzar's laughing with him a little bit. Chuck, you know what I'm saying? Because they got this little ship about to come up and shoot them. But then all of a sudden you hear this time, and then you see Quinn look down, pulls out. We find out what my man had up his sleeve. He gave that man that tracking beacon we were talking about earlier, that if they press that thing, it's Rap City in the basement for them boys. So he done pulled out the tracking beacon. He sees that thing. Then all of a sudden you see these X-Wings come up, pass Mando, because Mando's like, oh, excuse me, dog, I'm just, I ain't got nothing to do with all that. And he comes up, and turns out it was a cute cameo for our directors, Dave Filoni, Rick Farazama, Febreze, don't worry about it, Fariyama, my bad, brother, and Deborah Chow. And they all come in X-Wings as pilots. And it was awesome little cameo, and they end up taking them boys out, which was hilarious. I was like, yeah, you thought you was gonna kill Mando. You thought, you got yours though. So he took care of them, and then you come to find out that actually Mando didn't kill him. He had him in prison, but I really thought Berg was dead. I thought Berg died because that thing said smack. I thought he got crushed. I was like, oh, when that door slammed. But it turns out it just took his horns off his head. It just cracked his horns off his head, because you see they're kind of cracked and stuff, and he's like reaching his head like, argh. So he got them on that prison for like forever. Who knows when they're ever going to get off of that thing, because everyone's dead on it except for them, so they just going to be hovering in space. We may see them in season 2. Who knows? I'm excited for season 2 for sure, but let's get done with season 1 first. But that's how our episode ends. I really enjoyed this episode. I didn't love it as much as episode 3, which was my favorite. But like I said, I did enjoy this episode a lot. It had some great moments in it, especially with the whole Batman scenario that my man Mando went into. I really loved that he went in his inner Batman and took care of everybody and got everybody, and still got the money and was able to save Baby Yoda from certain death if he didn't get there in time. So that was awesome. And This being a longer episode, this is our longest episode, clocking in about 43 minutes. So I'm thinking the last 2 episodes should be nice and long and juicy for us to get into. But let me know how you feel about Mandalorian Chapter 6, The Prisoner, in the comment section below. Also, if you're new here and you're trying to join the Swag Team, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or hit it right here when it pops up on the side. Also, if you want to be the first to the Swag Team, see a video when it pops up on the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell. It'll pop right up when you subscribe and join the Swag Team. So you join the Swag Team by clicking that subscribe button. You click that, then that bell will pop up. You click that ding, then you never miss a video that pops up on the channel, whether it's on your computer, cell phone, tablet, whatever. So make sure you do that so you don't miss on any of the swag when it drops. But if you like this review, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It helps with the channel down below. But if you didn't like it, I ain't tripping. Look at Jordan, I ain't pipping. Let me know your favorite moments in this episode. Let me know if this is your favorite episode, and if not, what is your favorite episode? Let me know in the comment section below. Are you excited for chapter 7? I know I am. I can't wait to see you in the next review. And if you haven't seen any of my other reviews, make sure you check it up there and in the comment section below. In the description below, I'll have the rest of the series. But without further ado, and not wasting any more time, man, until the next video, I love y'all 3000. I'll holla. Peace.